Welcome to Brooklyn's Finest Entrepreneurs, the podcast for future business owners and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Earl A. Conway, where we discuss the details, trials, tribulations, mindset, and the journey it takes to you being your own boss.
For your dead friends, hey, look, I got dead presidents, hey, blue honey, blue honey, blue honey, JJ, blue honey, blue honey, blue honey, JJ, blue honey, blue honey, blue honey, JJ, blue honey, blue honey, blue honey.
Yeah, you already know what it is, man.
Mad I wasn't episode number 1.
Yo, you know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, man. Yo, man, fellas, ladies, man, entrepreneurs, business owners, man. We got designer extraordinaire Stanford Fraser's in the building, baby. Let's give him a round of applause, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
What up?
You know what I mean? So we're going to jump right into it, man. If I go down your accolades, man, if I go down what you've been able to accomplish and been able to do, man, in this designer world, entrepreneurship world, man, like I could go on and on and on and on again. But I won't do it. I'll let you do it. You know what I'm saying? So let's start from the beginning, though, man. Let's start from the beginning. We want to figure out where you got this talent from. How did you cultivate it? You know what I'm saying? How did you harness your energies to keep pushing forward and becoming a boss, becoming an entrepreneur? So let's start from the beginning, man. What's your family background like? Like where everybody from? You know what I'm saying? Where you from? Where, you know?
So the fam from Guyana.
Nice.
And I was born in Brooklyn.
Oh shit, Brooklyn, stand up.
Yeah, baby.
Brooklyn, stand up, man. I mean, this is Brooklyn entrepreneurship. You know what I mean?
Facts. Facts. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, by Guyanese parents, and that was a task right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going to school in Brooklyn, it was like a fashion show. It wasn't really a school. It was like a fashion meet to see who was the freshest every day.
Oh yeah. I remember. You listen. This what I used to do. I used to come outside bummy, right, from like 10 a.m. You know what I'm saying, to around 2 p.m. You know what I'm saying. After 2 p.m., I go upstairs, freshen up, come back up. You know what I mean? Come back out fresh, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was the protocol.
You know what I mean?
But and it wasn't like I grew up in a poor family. You know, my father he used to work for a large firm. Doing a lot of the CPA work there, and he was getting paper.
Okay.
I think
middle class. You using their high middle class. Y'all. Yeah, family was getting it.
Yeah, he was getting money, and my mom she was the seamstress. She was the sample maker for different fashion houses in New York.
Okay.
So, they both was doing pretty good financially. So, he actually saved up and bought the apartment building we lived in.
Right.
Didn't take out any loans or nothing like that. Had 2 whips sitting outside. What? All that, right?
So we talking what? 80s in the 80s?
Nah, we talking 70s.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to show my age. We talking the 70s, man. And I'm young, hanging around, and the lifestyle that they know of for their kids is primarily go to school. That's it.
Right. Okay. So let me get this straight. So your family migrated from Guyana, right? They came here. They was able to not only make a living, but to do well.
Very well,
right?
Yep.
How was the household setup like? Because you said it was challenging, right? So how was the Guyanese background mixing with the American? How was that kind of set up in the house?
So I didn't know anything but Guyanese culture.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In those first few years of my life, I was actually brought back to Guyana for maybe, I think, less than a year to live there when I was around 1.
Okay.
And
soak up some of that culture.
yeah, soak up some of the culture, which I probably don't remember any of, but you know. The household was it was something I was accustomed to, you know. It was something that I knew like the back of my hand. Like it wasn't nothing that I had to learn or anything like that. That's the first love. You know what I'm saying? That I knew, you know what I mean? So as far as learning or anything like that, there was no problems in that situation. It was just
okay. Was it a lot of ass whippings? Because West Indian parents and especially Guyanese parents love to whip some ass.
Nah, it was definitely plenty of that.
Okay.
I got my share.
all right.
You know what I mean? It was definitely that. The biggest challenge is once I actually started going to school and learning the American culture.
Okay.
Right, that was where I kind of was unplugged from the Caribbean matrix. You know
okay, how so?
Well, you know, the most important thing they want you to do is go to school and get an education.
Right.
And when when you're in Brooklyn and you going to school,
there is no education.
There's no education. It's fashion education.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Different type of education.
Yeah, you got to be fresh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to be fresh. And they really wasn't concerned with that. You know, my wardrobe consists of 3 shirts and 2 pairs of jeans, and I had to recycle that, skillfully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was always somebody that knew what I was going to wear Tuesday and what I was going to wear Friday.
they was already clocking your next outfit.
Yeah,
they had it on.
They knew. You know, I had the different name. I had a slight accent. You know, I wasn't the 100% Brooklynite, you know what I mean? Accent. So I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Okay.
You know, with a name like Stanford, Fraser, they had a ball with that.
Oh yeah. Listen, I get it too. Yeah. Earl. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was at my I had started this job not too long ago. Well, it was my last job, and one of the secretaries, right? Never met me, right? I never met her. First thing she said to me, your father named Earl? I'm like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like, why you have to have that type of stigma on the name Earl? That's why I made Earl fly. Right, you know what I'm saying? To erase that stigma.
Yo, you just got to wear it. You
know
what I mean?
I understand your pain.
Yeah, I got it a lot. Sanford and Son and Stand Fit and all kinds of versions, right? But I just, of course, I used to tell people, you can call me Stan, but they wasn't going for that. It was Stand Fit, right? So, I mean, the challenges was actually trying to figure out how I'm gonna get these clothes, to seem as if I had a lot.
Okay, so before we get there, so what were you seeing? You said your mom was a seamstress. She used to sew for Tommy Hilfiger, all these high name Ralph Lauren,
right.
A lot of these high name designers. What were you seeing, and after you saw, what actually got you or interested in designing?
Well, it was some years later. I used to keep her company. You know, my pops used to be like, yo, go downstairs, keep your mom's company, because she used to have a sewing machines in the basement. Okay. And I wasn't really interested in any of it. All I knew that I just wanted to go outside and play. Right. You know what I mean? But I guess once I started sitting there, I wasn't really watching her. Subliminally, I was probably taking things in, but I didn't understand what she was putting together. I wasn't really interested. I used to sketch though. Okay. I used to draw Superman, the Hulk, stuff like that. Okay. And at one point, I started fantasizing and started drawing with men with clothes on. You know. Yeah. So
that's important. That's important because I want people to understand that what we call fantasizing, what we call dreams, you understand what I'm saying? Subliminally, it's constructing where we're gonna be. Exactly. And the more that you dream, right, the more that you make believe, right, and you're able to hold that vision consistently, then ultimately it becomes your reality.
Right, and that's pretty much what it was. You know, I was living through those sketches. Like, you know, I would sit there sketching. I'd be happy when I was finished the sketch because the dude that I sketched was fresh.
Right.
You know, he had the Pumas that I couldn't get. He had the Lee jeans that I couldn't get.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I lived through the sketches, and you know, while she was sitting there sewing, I'd be sketching, and you know, she'd be like, "What you doing?" And I was just drawing some men and stuff like that. And you know, after a while, she started really, you know, like let me see what you're doing,
right?
You know, and then I started drawing just clothing at that point. You know what I mean? Because I started focusing on the actual clothes, right? So I think while I'm sitting there watching her. We're not only watching. I used to go with her to pick up work, to deliver work.
Okay.
And you know, it was always around me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Although I was still wanting to be outside and play and stuff like that, but my biggest issue was clothes. And here it is. My mom's is actually a sample maker for all these New York fashion houses.
Right.
So you know, that was one thing that kind of that kind of I guess led me. In this direction, when I started sketching the actual clothes, I started showing it to her. So
this was around high school days.
Man, this was junior high school.
Junior high school days. Okay.
Yeah, junior high school back in that was like 1985.
Oh, you really telling your age now?
Facts,
boy.
It's
over. All they have to do right now is do the math.
Do the math, right? That's it.
Yeah,
That's
but listen, man, we wearing it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it is. I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm
Absolutely.
happy. I just had a 49th birthday. You know. So,
yes.
you know what I mean?
Happy birthday, happy birthday, man. Thank yes, sir.
Thank you. So you know I think also everybody knowing. Stanford. I was like the only Stanford in the whole school. Every school I went to, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, a friend of mine, we used to dance. We used to break dance, pop and lock, God rest his soul.
Okay.
You know, Dinky, God rest his soul, from Brevoort Projects. You know, he kind of opened the door also for me to be known as well. Because, you know, everybody from the projects is always known.
Right,
you know, we lived across
especially
the street from
Brevoort Projects, man.
Exactly.
Shout out to Brevoort
Shout
Projects,
out to Brevoort
man.
Projects. That's kind of what propelled me into the spotlight, which I wasn't ready for that because now everybody saw that I only had 2 pairs of jeans and 3 shirts. Right? So, you know, I mean, it was a tough time, man, because, you know, they would buy me, you know, the 2 pairs of jeans, 3 shirts, and 1 pair of sneakers for the whole school year. Right. And I probably ran through them sneakers the first 2 weeks.
Right. So all this time, subconsciously, you don't even know that all of these seeds is being planted in you. You're seeing things, right? You're around a designer. You're around a seamstress, and you're sucking this all up. You also had uncle Desmond.
Yeah,
Desmond was
uncle,
also.
You know what? Honestly, God rest his soul. My uncle Desmond. He actually, I think and I always try to figure out the dynamics of the two, my mom's and my uncle, and what I took from both of them. Right. In the early years, my uncle used to sew fast, and still good quality, but he was lightning fast. But you know, my mom's was the perfection.
Right.
I mean, she made sure everything was perfect. You know what I mean? But I think because it was a male there, it kind of made me feel okay about that whole industry. I mean, not designing. I mean, actual construction, cutting and sewing. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know anything about designing. I was just fantasizing about what I would like to look like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was the trauma, man. That was the trauma. You going to school and being teased by the kids because you walking around with holes in your sneakers, or they know you only got 2 pairs of jeans. You know what I mean? So it was traumatizing.
Even though your father had money.
No, my father was
because West Indians or real.
My father was fresh. I mean, sometimes I used to go in his closet and try to and sneak out some of the polo shirts he had. I mean, he was wearing polo shirts back then when Aldo was Italian. Right. He had Aldo shoes, Bally sneakers, you know. He was fresh. And Paco Rabanne cologne, you smell the trail of it.
Big
right?
Al, Big Al.
Yeah, big up. God rest his soul,
man,
right?
God rest his soul.
Riviera and Cutlass, you know, they had nice cars out there, man, you know. But the concern for the kids was, like I said, education. And you know, we wasn't trying to hear that as kids. We had to played a part and looked good when we went to school. Right. And that kind of was one of my issues. And I guess everything kind of pigeonholed me into the industry that I'm in now, because if I had it in abundance, I'd probably want to do something else.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? But that was what was I thought was lacking.
So who was Stanford Fraser, right? Was he out here, you know, getting to the bag, or was he, because I mean, being raised in this in that type of environment, you know what I'm saying, especially Brooklyn at that time, right? Yep. It was nothing but crime, drugs, you know what I'm saying, all types of mischief, you know, whatever you could think of, you can get into, you know what I mean? I was
being raised by, you know, it's like you stay in the house, you're being raised by your parents. You go outside, you're being raised by the streets.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, the drug dealer that society tries to paint that grim picture of, it was my friends.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
protectors.
Right, it was my protectors, the dudes that was older than us, who call us little brothers and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's like not having the stuff that I thought I need. I saw a way to get it, right?
Right.
And the easiest way to get it, the fun, you know, the most, I guess, the fun way to get it was to
the shortcut.
Right, the shortcut. Go
way of getting it. Let's call it what it is.
Right, right. Get a package and flip that package. Right. And or, you know, I was actually, honestly, before the drugs, I was actually introduced to boosting.
Oh man, yeah, because you wasn't the clothes. So you couldn't do without clothes.
Nah, I couldn't
all
do
those
without
pictures
clothes.
that you was drawing about fly clothes, you actually went out and started boosting.
I had to. So I went to 35 down on Lewis Avenue. I think that was like the home for boosters.
Right.
A lot of my friends from Roosevelt Projects, you know, we all befriended each other, and you know, they saw me. The slight accent that I had, you know, certain words that I said was different. And
right.
they, you know, they can pick up on that, right? And then the name, and everybody knew that I used to pop, you know. So you know, I became so famous, but still, I'm like a bum. I'm the bum. You know what I'm saying? I'm a famous bum. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was like one of my friends, man, Sean, he was like, yo, why don't you come out with us, man? You know, and he was like the most closest friend that honestly like cared, you know what I'm saying? Everybody else would tease. You know, he never teased. He used to, he made my name sound fresh. He was like, he changed it from Stanford to Stan Smith.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So he used to be like,
you need somebody like that in your camp.
He used to call me, he used to be like, yo, Stan Smith. And I used to be like, yo, what up, son? You know, I was like, thank you. Somebody.
Yeah. Sort of help you reinvent the whole, right.
You know, but, you know, I did pretty good with the popping. You know what I mean? That we were really known.
Oh no, but we wasn't talking about the popping. We was talking about the boosting.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is, at least, you know, that part I was, you know, but you know, they took me out there, and you know, I was out there with a couple of dudes, Speed Rapper, another Sean, you know, God rest his soul, you know, and them guys, we get on the train. Number one, we jumped the turnstile. We get in the train.
Oh man, y'all was reckless Brooklyn youths.
Yeah, it was like maybe 10 of us. We went out to 34th Street. Split up. They knew what doors to send everybody in. You know, and I'm just looking like a lost puppy, right? Like, yo, Stan, come with us. They give me a nice book bag.
Okay, so hold on, because a lot of listeners might not know what boosting is, right? And you know, I remember the Lizzie bags. You know what I'm saying? So all these terminologies you're gonna have to break down.
Stealing,
you know,
right? It's like
simplest form is just
simple
stealing.
Form is straight stealing,
right?
You know, we go in. You know, they gifted me a book bag, and I'm like, wow, this book bag had leather straps all over, and I was like, JanSport, what was that? I was like, okay, I like it. It's nice. You know what I mean? I ain't even had no book bag, so. You know, they gave me the book bag, and it wasn't protected or nothing. It was just a straight up regular book bag, and they put it on my back, and they're like, "Yo, when we get to this floor, we got to crawl in once we get from the elevator. I'm like, crawl? Like, yeah, crawl to that first rack. I'm like, crawl? Like, really? They was like, yeah. And they open the elevator door, and next thing you know, they crawling out to the rack. So I crawl out to the rack. Right? And next thing you know, I'm sitting Indian style on the floor.
Oh, man.
Somebody behind me is just stuffing stuff inside the bag, you know? So I'm like, all right. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm sitting underneath the rack, right? And everybody just start getting up.
So where's security at this time?
I don't know, man.
You just got out the elevator and crawled.
That's it. I didn't even look. I just followed. You know what I mean? I'm just following, right, at this point, because I'm entrusting these guys, right? Because I look up to them dudes. All of them is fresh. Had like maybe they had different color Lee jeans for every day of the week. You know what I mean? So I want to be like them. So I got to do what they do. And so now next thing you know, I get up and they're like, all right, get to the elevator. And they sending me to this other exit. Everybody going out another exit. They send me to the other exit, right? Okay. So now I get to the exit and walk out the door. No security at this point. No security. They set me up good. Right. So we go outside and they're like, yo. Everybody coming around me. Yo, Stan, come here. So he's like, yeah. I said, what's up? He's like, all right, let me get this stuff out the bag. I was like, all right, yeah. So open the bag up, everybody pulling their stuff out, right? And I'm like, yeah. We came off, right? So they're like, all right, here. So they gave me the bag, right? And I was like, this all I get? Right. I mean, they took all their clothes out and left me with the bag. And,
oh, wow.
And I was like, yo, you the bag man.
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, listen, you got to be initiated. You know what I'm saying? You coming in, you know.
So they bagged me up and I got the book bag. I was happy with the book bag. It's a J sport. Right, you know what I'm saying? So, the second time it didn't go down that way. Long story short, they sent me out this door. I went out that door and I got fresh.
Okay.
Right.
So, man, wow. So growing up in Brooklyn, mother, seamstress, uncle,
tailor.
Or also a tailor. He's doing his thing. He's fast. Your mother is a perfectionist. She's worked for a lot of top designers. Yep. Going through the schooling system and not having and seeing and figuring out like, yo, I have to be fly because that's what the time was, right? That's what the time was. So at what point did you start to say, okay, this designing thing or this entrepreneur thing, I really think I could do this?
Well, I was forced into thinking about a business because the first thing is I didn't know anything about brands until the boosting. That kind of opened me up to brands. Okay. I'm starting to look at clothes, and with my mother's construction experience, I'm kind of meshing these things together. So the first thing I had to do was figure out how do I actually even take one of these ideas that I had on my paper and bring it to life.
Okay.
And the only way I did that was because of being introduced to all of the brands, Georges Marciano, which was Guess, and Ralph Lauren back in the days, which was one of the two top brands for us back in '85. I had to figure out how to mend the sketches and bring it to life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because at that point, junior high school, I don't know nothing about, honestly, from designing to a finished product. So, and as far as my moms and them, they always would have a sketch of the samples that they had to make.
Right. So you saw that.
So I saw that. Right. And I saw it and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I started drawing. So I would bring the sketch to my mom's and be like, Ma, can you make this? And he's like, yo, you don't have any seams in this shirt. And I'm like, what do you mean seams? Yeah, you got to put it together. Every piece is different. So she would put a line on it. I'm like, don't do that.
You messing up my drawing.
Right, you messing up my drawing. So then I had to, once she told me that, it just automatically stuck that you gotta put seams in there, right? So fast forward, man, once I started, I was fresh now because I'm boosting. I know how to boost. I'm doing my thing. I was a part of the small sector, low lives, and they caught, they threw me a little name out there.
Yeah, shout out to the low lives, man.
Yeah,
Legendary.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was a low life, honestly. But actually, Deanie Low was my joint, and it was short for Houdini because I used to start making things disappear. Man.
Wow, now you really got in.
Nah, man. I mean, it was a must that I came back with pieces to rock and sell because at that point I wasn't boosting the shoes, so I'm fresh up top and still going to school with old sneakers with holes in them.
Right.
So at least some of the pieces we got to sell to the cop shoes, but the one thing, I still had the Caribbean background in me, and that compared to the American, where we was wearing Benetton and Guess and Ralph Lauren and those brands like that, in the Caribbean aspect, it was more so linen. Okay. Right. So I started, and being in between, like being a child, an American, being raised in a Caribbean family, you kind of, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but it was like you're on a fence, and one year you might be hardcore Caribbean, next year you might be American, right? Because there's a tug of war, and back in our days, listen.
In the winter, you wearing Ralph Lauren. In the summer, you wearing linen.
Right. I mean, it wasn't cool to be from the Caribbean back then. Right. It was not cool. We were laughed at. We were, tormented. Accents was funny. The dreads wasn't even a thing back then. Right. You know what I mean? That's why I try to tell people. I mean, there was wars on my block between the two, American and the Guyanese. Because, my area, Chauncey and Howard Avenue, was predominantly Guyanese people.
Yeah, straight culture clash.
Right, it was a straight culture clash. And Americans, my father had all Americans living in an apartment building. All we used to keep hearing was go back to where you come from, the banana boat and all of that, right? Yeah. So, so it was that was kind of the two different worlds that I lived in, and even designing for both of those, I had to figure that out. So I really started getting into the business aspect when I started designing the Caribbean style linen suits, those Shaba suits from back in the days everybody was wearing, right? So at first I never wanted to sell. I was always just making stuff for myself, and people would be like, yo, that's hard, because you make one, and I'd be like, nah, I really can't do that yet. Right? So I started getting more demands. My uncle would be, God rest his soul, my uncle would be like, yo, let me see a design book. And I'd be like, yo, Unc, chill, man, But he would actually take some of my ideas and sell it. Right. And it was selling.
Okay, so at this point now, you're learning because mom's is sending you back to the sketch board, sketch pad, and telling you what the makeup of a garment actually looks like, and outside of just a drawing.
And not really, right? Not really, because today she'd be like, I don't know how he learned that, right? It wasn't that type of teaching. It was just like, everybody, you can't make no shirt without no seam. It was the
right.
That was teaching, right?
That's exactly what it is. It's like
I just want people to know that it wasn't like class.
No. Right. It's you come with a plain drawing, right? And she's giving you the construction behind the drawing.
A rough,
right? So now when you go back to the drawing, now you add the construction of it, and it's supposed to actually be a different type. It's not a drawing anymore. Like what you call a drawing of a sketch.
Yeah, just a sketch.
Right. It's more of a sketch, and it's a makeup of a garment, opposed to just being a drawing. Right. So yeah, she was teaching you. Right. You know what I'm saying, without
the Guyanese way. Everybody, they don't look good. Right. They don't make no sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was that kind of teaching, right? And we were built tough. I go back to the drawing board and produce it, exactly the way she said it. But that's the first. I mean, my first love for clothes was the American culture. But my first actual sit down and design and actually make was the Caribbean style. Right. I mean, that was honestly my first love, my first culture. I had people that would, yo, man, I want something. My brother would want something. Everybody wanted something. And I was never focused on the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't want it. I didn't want to do it for that. I just wanted to have all the stuff and people look at me.
Right.
I didn't want to do it for nobody else at that time. But I kind of was forced to. And when I was forced to, it ended up in pure disaster.
Okay, so you've been bit by the bug of being a designer, right? And you're doing sketches, and you already have a sense of how high-end designers are designing things. At this point, you already know how to sketch really, really well. Yes. Right, Mom's already showed you the structuring, right, and the blueprint of how to put your sketches together with the way that an actual garment is going to be sold, right? Right. And so now at this point, you're like, okay, what was next for you? At what point did you say, okay, I have all of this, I have all of this input. I have all of these skills that I've acquired from my Uncle Desmond, you know, from my mom, from actually being around these clothes. Now, at what point did you say, okay, I'm going to try to put my own line together?
That was this fast forward. And not necessarily, I didn't know the structure of the industry. For me, it was just make something hot. Somebody like it, you know what I'm saying, make it for them, sell it, right? It was no structure involved because I had no schooling in business or anything like that. I mean, the only business I had was on the corner pushing them packages, and that had nothing to do with the fashion industry. So what I would do was in high school, I made a couple of pieces. I didn't make them. I actually designed them, and I was working in a fabric store. That was my first job. I was working in a fabric store. Okay. And I was even utilizing my boots and skills in the fabric store, right? So here I am. I'm seeing all these nice fabrics, and I ain't even get paid yet. Right. This is my first 2 weeks in the hole, and I'm looking at all these fabrics, and I'm like, yo, this fabric is dope. Like, I could make this with that, and I just was in that world, you know, being actually shown all the different styles and textures and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm hype. I'm like, man, this is where I need to be. You know, so I would get some fabric, bring it home, sketch, show my mom's, and she would correct certain things, and I'd be like, I want to mix this with that, boom. So she would make it, and she would have her little labels that she would put inside and stuff like that. So I'm coming to school. This is high school. I come to school, you know, and I'm mixing it up with some of my fresh stuff. So I got on Guess jeans. I got the shirt on. And I come through, and everybody like, yo, son, that shirt is hard. Where you get that from? And I'm like, I'm cheesing hard now. I'm like, right? I'm like, yeah, my mom's made it, right? And, you know, I designed it. And then you get the laughs. Then I get the homemade, you got a homemade shirt on. And, you know, so I'm like, yo, you know, you just can't win with New Yorkers, man, you know. And that kind of, it didn't stifle anything. I just wanted to be better. I just wanted to make it this next time so they wouldn't even be able to tell. Although they you know, I told them about it. But, you know, it didn't stop me, you know what I mean? Because their first idea of what I did was, their first impression was crazy. They was like, wow, I was welcomed. You know what I mean? But once they knew it was made by my mom's, you know, and it wasn't a brand, you know. But that's actually, at that point, I had a relationship. Now we had to put the designing in pause for a second because I had a relationship, and I had my first daughter at an early age in high school. So, you know, I'm working, you know, trying to support that situation because that's all I knew. You know, my father took care of, you know, took care of his kids. I mean, not the way I wanted to, but we never went hungry. We never went cold or nothing like that, you know. So I had to focus on that. And, you know, I had a very strict pops, God rest his soul. He was very strict, like, you know. He was a gallus, right? And
okay, well, explain what gallus is to those who don't know.
He was a gallus, and
he was a ladies' man.
He was a ladies' man. He was you know, he he liked a lot of women, and the women liked him. You know, he was successful in his right, and he had the accent that at that time they loved it. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was his offspring, right? So that kind of, you know, I had to wear that. I had to wear
got
that.
you jammed up.
Yeah, it got me jammed up, right? So, you know, I after having my child in high school, it was like, all right, the best thing for me to do is get out here and go into the military.
Okay.
You know, to really.
So at this point now, there's no more designing. There's no more sketching. You have a big responsibility. So you in panic mode right now. You know. All right, so you jammed up. Right? Man. Baby on the way.
Yeah, man.
You know, and you know, you in panic mode now.
Shook. Cause number one, my pops, I mean, he was like Idi Amin, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there shook to tell anybody that, you know, this girl's pregnant.
Right.
So here I am. I'm just, you know, I'm taking the responsibility because that's all I saw. And we going different places buying Pampers and little dresses and stuff like that.
That's all new dad shit.
Yeah, son. I'm hyped too, right? Because you know, I mean, I don't know. It was new to me,
right?
You know what I mean, and I guess I wasn't really into shorty like that because she was like number 5. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, you was a gallus too.
Nah, I was a gallus. You done know, right? So,
just like pops,
just like pops, right?
Okay.
So, but I did respect the fatherhood, and you know, was focused on, all right, listen, if this is mine, I gotta hold it down.
Yeah, taking care of your responsibility.
Facts, right? So, you know, we would walk around, go shopping, buy little things, stuff like that. Saw one of my pop's friends, right? He saw me, and you know, she's sticking out, and I got diapers in my hand, right? So I was like, you know, how you doing? You know, that passed. Next thing you know, my father called me downstairs. My mom's there, and he spilled the beans. Like, you know, this guy got a girl pregnant, and he walking around buying Pampers.
West Indian voice, right?
And he ain't telling nobody nothing, and I'm sitting there looking like I saw a ghost, boy.
Right.
So, you know, I was kind of, you know, and, you know, he was asking me, what plans you got, this, that, and the third, and I'm like, I'm going into the military.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So you're entering the military now, right? What part of the military did you go in? Did you go in armed forces? Were you like special forces, Navy?
So my brother was in the Marines, right? And,
okay.
You know, he was, of course, I looked up to him, and I just was like, you know what? You know, I'm going in the Marines.
Okay.
Right? And my brother was like, all right, I'm going to go with you. So we go down to the recruiting office in Utica, right? And I sit down with the Marine, in the Marine office waiting for them. They never showed up. My brother was like, yo, come over here and talk to the Navy dudes because, you know, you rank faster and you're not really that in harm's way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I don't think he knew that they had missiles that could hit a boat.
Right. Everybody's in harm's way.
Everybody's in harm's way, right? So anyway, I go and I talk to them, to the Navy dudes, and the rhythm was great. The vibe was great. The vibe was great. So, you know, we chatted up and everything, and it was like, all right, we're gonna prepare you to take the ASVAB, and boom, I did that. Next thing you know, I'm in the Navy. You know what I mean? I'm in there, I'm doing my work. I get to boot camp and see one of my childhood friends, and that was crazy.
Okay.
You know, I felt so far away from home, but then when I saw him, you know, we would get together and talk at church. Right. We would sit down and, you know, talk at church. Like, yo, what's up, man? What you doing out here? I didn't know you was coming out here. You know, it kind of felt like a little reunion. That kind of felt good. But
so at this point now, you in the military and you're not even thinking about designing at all. No clothing line, no sketching. None of you that. Know, was moms on your back like, yo, what are you doing?
Nah, nobody. You know, through that point, nobody really had too much contact with me. After boot camp, I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and I was doing that, and I would come home every other weekend because I wasn't feeling the South at that point. I didn't even know what Virginia was.
Right.
You You know what I mean? So I would visit every weekend and stuff like that. But once we started going out to sea, going to those different countries, Paris, Italy, Spain, and I would get off the boat and we'd go shopping.
Right.
You know what I mean? That kind of reignited that flame again.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We actually went to Cannes, France, or Cannes, France. I always mess that up. And we went to the film festival, Cannes Film Festival. And I had met a lady out there because all the ladies would wait for us. Waiting for those Navy boys to get off the ship.
Yeah,
shout out to the Navy boys visiting different countries.
Right,
man.
right. They be throwing parades for you guys. You know what I'm saying?
All the women, just women, right? So next thing you know, the lady friend, invited me out there, and she's like, you got to wear a tuxedo. She got me a tuxedo. We going to these high-end stores, and I'm just seeing all this stuff. I'm like, yo, this is crazy,
Right.
Back in the days, they was wearing, it was like tight waist, baggy pants, tight ankle, pants, and short jackets and stuff like that. But I went to the film festival, and just shopping for that kind of had me open again.
Right.
Once we left Paris, actually I was standing watch one day, and I started sketching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing watch where I was on an aircraft carrier, and the watch that I was standing controlled the catapults to launch the jets off the ship. Right. And next thing you know, an officer came down there, and he's like, Fraser, and I'm like, yes sir. He's like, we don't have enough steam in catapult 4. What are you doing? And he comes over to my station, and he see a t-shirt. He's like, you're designing a watch? And I'm like, sir, yes sir. He's like, he chewed me out for that. So after that, man, it was really now that I got back into it, it was back into my culture again.
Okay, so before you got out of the Navy, though, didn't you also go into Navy SEALs?
Well,
or you?
No. What happened was the white dudes and the black dudes had a bet.
Okay.
And they were like, yo, all y'all black dudes, y'all can't float, you sink.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they started talking about bone mass and all of this. And I'm like, yo, y'all don't know where I'm from. Or y'all know the oceans that I swam in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I ain't say nothing. Everybody put up the bet. And we had to step off this 10-foot platform with our hands crossed, go down in the water and float for 5 minutes. And that's how you pass to get in the Navy.
Okay.
So when it was my turn, all the black dudes was failing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had money on it. So when it was my turn, I stayed in the water a little longer.
Okay.
Right? I stayed in the water, and there's divers in the water while, watching us.
Right.
So I stayed in the water, and they blew the whistle, and I'm still sitting there. Now I'm dead man floating, looking up at them like, what? I'm counting my money, right? So next thing you know, they pulled me out, and they made me go into the other part of the pool, which was like a Olympic-sized pool, and they made me do laps.
Okay.
Right? And
so how many laps do a Navy SEAL have to do?
Well, I don't think this was necessarily the Navy SEAL test. I think they were what we call mashing. Back then, they were, punishing me for what I did.
Okay.
Right? And I'm swimming. Like, I'm going back and forth. And, like, I can't remember what it was until I got out. But I actually drowned in one of them and was revived.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, man.
Right,
Yeah.
They revived me and then made me go run 2 8-minute miles. And then 45 push-ups and 65 sit-ups.
I could imagine what Navy SEAls go through now. You know what I'm saying? That's not even nothing.
But that's not even for them. And
right.
What I was told was that was something of a preliminary evaluation,
right,
in order to say that you might be able to,
So innately, so you're building mental strength at this point now, right? I mean, you wouldn't know it then.
Nah.
Right.
I was having fun.
Right. and being punished. You know what I'm saying? Right. Punishment is never fun.
Nah.
Right. But you're building mental toughness.
Facts.
Right. The same way that moms subconsciously was showing you how to design, how to put together garments, and you're around it, you're involved in it, but you're getting a deeper understanding of how to put these pieces together and how to structure a garment.
Right.
So the same thing that the military was able to do
in life,
right?
Yes.
To build you mental toughness.
Yes.
So you get out of the military now. Was it honorable or
it was actually, I mean, I snuck out. I mean, in the sense that, my daughter's mother had got jammed up in some problems, and I took custody of my daughter, somewhat custody of my daughter, told the ship like that, yo, I can't go out to sea no more. They stationed me to shore duty. Right. So I was able to stay home and, still do what I had to do, which was in them streets in Norfolk, Virginia, but after that part, they came back in from out of sea from a 6-month cruise, and it was like, Fraser, has your situation gotten any better? I came up there with my daughter, was like, no. So then they start getting me ready for honorable discharge.
Oh, so you got honorable because you came through with your responsibility.
That's right.
To show, listen, I have a baby here.
Shout out to my daughter, Aaliyah Fraser, baby, I love you.
Yeah, shout out to Aaliyah. You saved this man from the military.
Right.
Got him discharged honorably.
Yeah, man, because, war, I mean, the military, we ain't ready for that. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm sitting on the corner. Here it is. We out in the Suez Canal getting ready to go bomb for the Iraq War.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I was thrown out into that. You know what I mean? So they was talking about dirty bombs, and I'm like, yo, what is that?
Right.
So I really wasn't ready for that. So
when you got out of the military, and while getting out of the military, after going to all of these different countries and seeing high-end designers, still seeing clothing. Now your antennas is picking this up again.
Sharp,
right?
I'm sharp.
So once you were stationed in Virginia.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you lived in Virginia after you got out of the military.
Yeah, I stayed there.
So once you got out of the military, you stayed in Virginia because that's what you was used to.
Right.
How did the clothing line, the brand, your entrepreneurship started to re-kick itself or restart itself?
The women, man, like
man.
The thing was, I was the culture, the Caribbean culture was there, but it was like still new to them. Right. So Shaba, like I said, Shaba style clothing, the linen and all of that was in. It was crazy, and guys used to come to New York, cop their joints from Flatbush and go back.
Right.
Me, I was actually constructing it right there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would go buy linen from this local fabric store, put it together, because my mom's gave me a sewing machine.
Okay.
Right? She made sure I had my ammunition.
Right.
You know what I mean? She gave me the sewing machine, and I'm down there in Virginia sewing. And
at this point, you already know garments, you already know fabric, because one of your first jobs was actually working in a fabric store. Right. So all of the pieces are coming together now.
Right. I know the feel, you know what I mean? I know what I like.
Right.
And just so happens that what I liked, other people liked as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I actually really started trying to sell pieces.
Okay.
Because at this point, I'm out of the Navy and I got to eat.
Right.
Any means necessary besides the drugs.
Right.
Besides selling the drugs. But that was two different lives, because here it is, I'm in the streets, I'm this thug, and then at home, I'm sewing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kind of had to part that Red Sea on that.
Yeah.
But once leaving out of, even coming back home from Virginia because of a drug charge.
Drug charge? Oh my God! Listen, we could talk about it, man. I had a dude up here. I had a guest up here that had 2 felons, so we could talk about it.
Yeah, I got 2 Fs on my chest.
Oh man.
One of them, I beat the case. One of them, I had to plead out guilty, but that kind of was a situation that taught me that that's something that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because it didn't work.
Right. So okay, you get out of the Navy, you come back to Virginia. There's nothing really to do.
Nah.
Right? So you get back into the game, right?
Right.
End up getting jammed up.
Yep.
Right? So now the little spark that you had from visiting these other countries that reignited your passion for designing now kind of withered away, because now you're jammed up with 2 felonies.
2 felonies, man. It's so crazy how I look at it. Them 2 felonies made me really focus and try to like figure out how to make the money, right?
Okay.
Because I wasn't accepted. I don't have a lot of work. I still don't have a lot of work history today. I mean, I got out of the military in 92, 93, and here it is in 2000. Maybe let me say 2012. I was still putting the Navy experience on there,
right?
Not that many jobs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So that was you know, that whole adventure in the drug industry, man. It taught me business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It taught me business. The felonies made me stay in that industry because I just felt that I couldn't get a job.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And those felonies always kept me in a lane of hustle, grind.
Almost like you're, you know, because you gave up all hope having 2 felonies because the stigma was once you have a felony, there's nobody gonna hire you.
Right.
There's nobody. But here you have this talent, you have this out.
Right.
So you leaned in more to that out, leaned in more to that talent.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense.
Yeah, it was really like do or die for me at that point. And after beating the case and everything and coming back home, I really went hard at it. You know what I'm saying? My mom's, I was actually able to come and use different machines and stuff like that. And, you know, I was have meetings with different rappers. Like I remember going up to D&D Studios with Fredro Starr from Onyx. And they used to sit down and, you know, we used to sit, you know, I was kind of introducing them to a mutual friend. And actually, we was actually downstairs at Def Jam, and I had a bag full of clothes. Me and a couple of close friends of mine had a bag full of clothes, and we saw Sticky come down. I was like, yo, Stick, what up, what up? He was like, yo, what up? And he was like, real open and friendly, man, you know? And I was like, yo, son, this is what we doing. Start pulling it out. And he was like, yo, these joints is hard. He's like, yo, Fred seen this? And I had already spoke with Fred Joe at that point.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, go upstairs. He up there, right? So we go upstairs, chopping it up with Fred. They wanted me to design a brand for him. Mm-hmm. So we would always meet at the studio wherever the studios they at, and we would sit down and they would be like, yo, can you draw this, draw that? And, you know, and I put it together. But they were working on their projects, man, and that came first.
Right.
So that kind of, you know, lost fire. And I was just back at still designing myself. And it wasn't a brand at that point until somebody called me to come back to Virginia because they had 9 keys of cocaine that they wanted me to help move. Mm-hmm. And back then, you know, they would just say Nina. He's like, I got a Nina, right? So I'm on the phone and I'm like, Nina, boom, and I'm sitting there just doodling, right? And I'm writing the word Nina, right? And I don't know where the other half of the word came from, and I'm like, Nino Ross, right? And I'm like, wow, that sounds dope, right? So then I was like, but it sounds real feminine. So then I just put a O instead of the A, so it was Nino Ross. Right. And it was through the drug game that I came out with my first, the name for the brand.
So that was your first official brand name, Nino Ross.
Nino Ross.
And listen, man, I'm here sitting and acting like I don't know the history, but this where I actually came in on the history, right? Nino Ross, man. Nino Ross was, the name was so catchy. Yeah. I mean, it was buzzing everywhere.
Yeah.
Talk to us, man, because we started. At some point, we started to do T-shirts.
Yeah. We was doing T-shirts. I was living in Virginia when when that really came about, and I would go into this print spot, and the dude, I think he was some type of bass head or something, because he'd be like, yo, come back later and I'll do some work with you. We could do whatever you want. Right. So I would pay him. Okay. You know what I mean? So that was always after hours, right? So I was in there learning also about printing. And I was just sitting there paying this dude, but I was learning how to screen print and all that. And the whole understandings of what can be done and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And came back home to New York, always coming back home when things get tight. Came back home and got with all my friends and you, my family as well, we sat down just talking to everybody. It's like, yo, this is kind of the idea I had, and everybody was feeling it.
Right.
You know, everybody always gravitated to, whatever idea I had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I guess everybody felt my passion for what I was doing. And we put together the team and printing shirts, and we running around Brooklyn. Nino Ross.
Nino Ross was, listen, from my recollection, Nino Ross was the young FUBU.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? And putting that together, man, once I had a name, it really made me feel well-rounded at that point, because before I might make a pair of jeans and somebody might like it. I ain't got no label on it, no tags, nothing, right? So we went and got our buttons made. So it had Nino Ross on the button. It was official at that point. Labels inside.
Right,
you know what I mean? And we had that movement going on for a while. I didn't know anything about the business aspect at that point. We was just selling stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just making
trying to
jeans.
figure it out as we go.
Right. And, that was the first start, and it did well. I was successful. And for me, I say, if I designed and created a product and sold it, that's
so that success. Initially now sparked the momentum for you that actually got you to where you are today.
Right, because it was proof that it
could work.
That it could work.
It could work
on a small scale, but you just had to figure out how to duplicate that.
Right.
And that from me understanding that it can work, all I had to learn was multiplication.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I started focus on, and not necessarily multiplication in a sense, but how to duplicate, how to quadruple, sales.
Yeah.
And that was always a problem because, it was honestly, after Nino Ross had kind of faded, I was a one-man band. You know what I mean? I'm sitting behind the sewing machines, I'm sketching, and then after that, I got to sell it also.
So your brand is a little bit different from other brands because you've been able to go down that lane of customizing, right? Customizing jeans and and that was also what separated you from a lot of designers also, because you focused on denim.
Right.
So Nino Ross came from a t-shirt brand.
Partly denim because that was the fabric. That was the next fabric that I was lacking in my life, jeans. So then, from that point, it was always favored because Levi's was the craze back then in when I was in elementary and junior high school.
Right.
And I never really had my true share of them. So it was always seeking that denim.
Right.
That raw, fresh denim, you know what I mean? So after that, it was, life happens again. I get married. I got kids. So now, and I got businesses. Now I'm doing construction,
Okay, so at some point you had to stop again. Right? Because that's how life is. That's how, listen, I want y'all to get this, man. You see a lot of people that's entrepreneurs now, and you think that it's just one, they pick something that they want to do or they want to pursue, and then all of a sudden it's just a go for them. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Like, you will go through ups and downs. Even if you stick with the same business, the same entrepreneurship goals, you will have times where you're on and you're off because life is happening all in between that.
Oh, man.
Right? And like, that's what I wanted this podcast to really focus on, right? The intricate details of the ups and the downs and the little successes along the way, and how you're able to still move forward and not give up.
Yeah, it was little hints of things of, always, especially me always having sewing machines around me. Even when I had the construction company with my brother-in-law, I still was sewing then.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was still sharpening them tools up and still producing stuff I wasn't selling at that moment, but I was still making clothes.
Right.
Moved back down to Virginia for a short spell after getting married. Started the construction company. We was looking for land to build and flip houses. Moved out to Charlotte, North Carolina, and when we got out there, we was beat up by the Mexicans. I mean, we really couldn't get jobs. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
that's a compliment. You know what I'm saying, to the Mexican, because they outwork. They outwork a lot of us.
They outwork us. They ran circles around us. I mean, their teams was doing, you know, the jobs a lot faster, and then they were able to give a lot lower price points because they had a big team and they would go through the work so fast.
Right.
You know what I mean? It made sense, right? But we was charging a premium.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You know. So after that, we, you know, I went back to something I learned in the Navy, which was waxing floors.
Okay.
Because you wax floors in the Navy, man. You wax and strip.
Was this part of punishment?
No, not really.
Disobeying orders?
No, never that. They just had a crew that went through the ship and made sure them floors was waxed, right? Yeah. And at one point, I was a part of that team. And so I spoke to my brother-in-law, and I was like, yo, we should start a commercial cleaning company, right?
Right. And
we didn't start one. We bought into a franchise, and, you know, we had like 13 accounts, man. I mean, and I'm talking, we were doing really good with that until the financial crash back then in 2007.
2007, 8, right.
Right. And I mean, we was getting calls left and right. Yo, we can't afford your service anymore. I mean, we had $3,000 a month clients, $6,000 a month clients. Right. I mean, we had on a spread out in 13 customers, right?
So still your entrepreneurship wheel is still turning, even though you're not designing and you're not in the brand.
I mean, the felonies had me tight up against the rope, man.
Right. There's no other,
you can't do nothing else. So here it is. I'm like, yo, you know, at this point, we losing a lot of customers, and we was down to like 2 customers. We had a Italian restaurant and another like a kiddie play spot. Monkey Joe's, that's what it was. I remember that. Damn,
Monkey Joe's.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sitting back now. The wife looking at me like, "Yo, what we gonna do?" You know, she had her job, but you know, I'm sitting back. We ain't got that many accounts anymore. Money ain't there like there was no more. You know, and now I'm sitting back like, you know, like, damn, what am I gonna do? Because, you know, I had no faith in myself to land a job to be able to take care of my family.
Right.
So I was looking through the papers. I'm looking through the papers in tears. You know what I mean? Because this is like, you know, if you wouldn't have, you know, messed your life up in that drug game, man, you know, you could have been a lot better than you are now, right? This is in my head. I'm kicking myself in the ass. I'm kicking myself, and I'm like, you know, and I'm literally at this point crying because this is one thing I set out to do, is take care of my family, because that's what I saw my father did.
Right.
And at this point, I felt less of a man because I couldn't do it. But then, you know, I'm turning the pages in the papers, and at the back there goes the transporting industry, and I'm looking through all the truck driving, and this was one joint that was like, yeah, we don't do any background tests past 7 years,
and we'll train you.
Right, and we'll train you. And I'm like, 7 years, my felonies was way longer than that, right? So I applied, and, you know, they did their little search, and nothing came back, and it was like, yo, you'll have to come out to Missouri, and, you know, we'll train you, and you'll go out on a truck, and, you know, you'll test and all of that. So I was like, yeah. I told the wife, I was like, look, it's the only way I could be a man. I got to go and do what I got to do. And the household was kind of, it wasn't the great place to be at that point. So I'm like, look, let me get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Right. Create some space.
Yeah, create some space, and, you know, and I went out and learned how to do that. Although I said all my life, I used to look at them trucks and be like, man, I never drive one of them things.
Right.
But here I am. You know, I went out there, bust my ass. It was hard as hell. You know, I passed the test, and I left. As soon as I got my driver's, like my L's, I left. And, you know, I would hear people tell, yo, you know, ain't nobody gonna hire you without your, because I finished. I didn't finish the course because I was supposed to go do my hours after, but I got my license. Okay. Right. I took my road test. I took the written test. All that passed, but I didn't get my hours in. Okay. So they were like, man, people weren't gonna hire you, right? So I get home. you know, I'm thinking, you know, things are gonna be better because now I got L's. I'm gonna get a job. Still,
Right.
Stuff still was a little tight at the crib. Then 2 weeks after me getting home, I landed a job, right? And I landed a job making really good, you know, real good money. And after that, it was on. You know, so I'm driving. I'm getting up like 5 in the morning, going out doing my route. Mostly, maybe two days out of the week, I'm driving a box truck. 3 days, I'm driving a 18-wheeler. But I was local.
Okay.
I wasn't over the road like I was when I was doing it in school.
Right. So you home every night.
So I'm home every night. So, you know, after that, you know, I'm good now. I could lay back and relax and I could think, right? So of course I'm making money. Now I'm like, yo, I'll start sewing again.
Okay.
Start sewing again. And I was sitting there at one point. I was a little frustrated and I came up with this one design called the button jeans, right? And that jean right there had really propelled me into the brand that I kind of came up with it through I guess not the norm, not, you know, nothing was governed, nothing was the, you know, the normal
Right.
way of doing procedures that how I came into this industry. You know what I mean? It was just all I was feeling my way through it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So there was no governing in what I was doing, and I was just saying it to myself, right? And I just sat there and was just like, this is just total anarchy, right?
Right.
And I was like, when I went and I'm looking at the definition and I'm like, wow, that's my path in the industry. You know, I did not take the traditional way, right?
Right.
And just changed up the words, the spelling a little bit, Anarke, right? And I said that spells anarchy, right? So, you know, I designed the button jeans. I actually sat down. I was buying one machine after the other, sitting it in the house. You know, the wife was okay with it. The bills were being paid. She was happy. She had money. You know what I'm saying? I had money. And you know, I come back around the way with the design to an old friend of mine, old client actually of mine, had his own store, and we put it together. And I had the jeans in the store. I actually made like 8 pairs of jeans and 4 bags, and we put it in there on a Sunday. And I just told him, I said, you know, make the price points around $250 because it was actually Japanese selvage denim that I use, which is a more durable fabric. You know, that it's made for longevity. The edges are kind of binded to help stop fraying or any type of breaking down or warping of the fabric, right? So I'm using this Japanese fabric, and I'm like, it's actually the same fabric that Evisu used.
Okay.
Back in the day. So I'm using this fabric, and I made the jeans. I said, yo, $250 for a pair of jeans, right? At this point, there's no professionalism at all. I'm just like, yo, put it in there and charge this, right? And he was down with it. And we put it in that Sunday. Monday, he opened the store. Next thing you know, that Thursday, he hitting me saying, yo, the jeans, we down to 1 pair of jeans, and we got 1 bag left. I'm like, what?
It's working again.
It's working, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I got to come up with some more pieces. So I start sewing again hard. And here I am after I'm coming home from work still in my uniform. I'm sewing.
So how were you able to balance that? Because a lot of, I mean, I know I struggle with it. There's times where I have to go work a regular job to take care of the immediate needs while still trying to pursue my dreams in entrepreneurship, right? And it's challenging. It's almost like you're being pulled from 2 different places, and you're fighting because you ultimately want to end up in this entrepreneur, follow your dream kind of space, right? So at that point now, when things started to work again, right? At what point did it work well enough for you to be able to walk away from the job?
Number one, shout out to my ex-wife, Robin. She was definitely the backbone in
shout out to Robin. Shout out to Robin.
Yeah, what enabled me to do this, man, because she had a good paying job, and even if I slacked up a little bit, she would cover everything. You know what I'm saying? And she was honestly one of the biggest reasons why I was able to do what I was able to do.
So it was that partnership.
It was definitely the partnership.
So listen, guys, if you listening, like, you know, it takes partnership, especially if you're in a relationship, especially if you're married, right? If one person is bringing in the income and one of you guys have a dream or some business goals that you want to reach, you know, you could work together.
Yeah, she actually stood in the front and allowed me to do what I was able to do.
Oh, that was a blessing.
She had the gun in her hand, guarding, and I was back there sewing, right?
Nice.
So that's definitely, I gotta give it up because we had a family.
Right.
And, you know, ain't no time to be chasing your dreams when you got a family in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, it's tough.
That was definitely the one of the main reasons how I was able to do the two. But I'm working, you know what I'm saying, driving the truck in the daytime. I get off at maybe 5, 6 o'clock. I come home, I sit down and I'm sewing. And then from I finish sewing, by maybe 12 o'clock, I wake up again 5, and I do this for 2 years.
Wow.
I do this for 2 years. I'm flying up to New York, calling in sick on a Friday, telling my boss I got diarrhea or something like that.
Listen, so guys, you see how you have to manipulate the system to be able to follow your dreams.
Yeah, man. And you know, she's like, you know, because we used to have to be in work at 5, and we was in before the drivers were in before the supervisors. So they would tell you, all right, if you call in, you still got to call, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
During working hours to talk to them. And, you know, this is the part where now you got to get your cough game on. You know, I can't come in or whatever. So I would, you know, Friday I would fly up to New York, bring new garments up there, collect money, and back and forth.
Right.
So at one point we had a meeting in there, and they were actually doing cutbacks. It was only 2 of us with a Class A license to drive the 18-wheelers, and the one guy, he was leaving, so they wasn't gonna cut me. But as soon as my supervisor was like, she was like, yo, you know, we getting ready to lay some people off, this, that, and the third. My hand went up. My hand went up in the air.
Yeah.
I'm like,
because I've reconnected to my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, dream me out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waving my hand, and
Right.
you know, she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, you know, I'll take the layoff. And she looked at me like, you crazy? You know, and everybody was like, what? But some of them dudes was happy because they knew they was going to get scalped.
Right.
But I took the layoff, took the package, and just shot that to the wife. I was like, yo, here, make sure you pay the bills. I'm good, because Anarke was doing this thing.
Right.
Now I had it in a second store in Charlotte, North Carolina. So now I'm feeding 2 stores.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And it's
and mind you, like, you're sewing all of this stuff by yourself.
by myself, man.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm cutting, sewing, trying to figure stuff out, printing stuff. You know what I mean? Printing T-shirts, all that right there in the house. After that, you know, the wife, I mean, I had a couple problems, you know, along the way with some of the stores, and the wife was like, you know what, you should get your own store, you know.
Okay.
She was definitely the brains of it, because out here I am an artist, and I didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
You know, I could sit at a sewing machine and just sew all day and not make $1.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was just in love with the act of.
Yeah.
I'm saying I didn't know nothing about the business.
The building, the process.
Yeah, I didn't care nothing about if I sold nothing.
Right.
You know, so she was like, yo, you need to you know, do your own store or whatever. So, of course, she was a help in the financial aspect of that too. I had other people that came together as well. People were coming to me like, hey, man, I like what you're doing. You know, I'll give you a couple of dollars towards what you're doing. I don't want nothing back, you know. And I'm like, wow, you know. So next thing you know, I gather up all the machines. This one guy, he came from Florida. He was like, yo, he heard about this black guy that make jeans, and he wanted to come meet me. Came to my house, and, you know, he came to my house, and he had a big marketing firm. Right. And, you know, he came in there. He was a lover of jeans as well. I made jeans for him. And
okay, so by now things are booming. You know, you again re-sparked the love and the
Yes.
passion.
Yes.
Now you're taking it even further, right? You have it into 2 stores. You have people helping you along the way because they believe in your dream.
believe in me,
They
yeah.
see the passion.
Yep.
They see the how great you are at it, right? And your wife is telling you at this point, well, you need to get your own store.
Next step.
Right, let's move to the next step. You need to get your own store. So how did that come about?
So me and her, she actually found the store, right? She actually found the store, and I had my friend talk to the landlords and struck up a good deal. And he was like, "Yo," I was kind of shook because I was like, "Yo, if we don't make this, how am I gonna pay this rent?" And he's like, "Well, I'll help you." It's like, I'll give you a couple dollars towards the rent. If you can make this every month, I'll give you that.
Okay.
So the wife, her credit was good, so we took out a couple of loans here and there, and it kind of, helped us secure the equipment. And then, I had some money saved up from the stores, so I bought all the materials and stuff like that. And because of the construction company, I went in there and built out the store myself.
Oh, nice. So everything that you've experienced in your life is still working for you.
Yeah, man, because I was in there and I actually constructed that place in 2 weeks, practically a lot by myself. I mean, I remember me and my wife renting the truck because we had a pallet wall. We rented a truck and we rode out to go get all the pallets and I'm just looking at her and she lifting pallets up, and I'm like, nah, chill, go ahead and sit in the car because it was raining in the truck. And I throw them up there and I'm looking at her like, I can't believe that she's sitting right here beside me doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I got the pallets in there and everything, and she was still working. At this point, I wasn't. So I'm in the shop every day,
building it out,
designing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's an important. So that's crazy, because when I came down to visit and I seen the store, it actually looked like the way that your mom taught you how to construct a garment, how to construct clothing.
Right.
You took that and you really constructed that store. That store, every thing in it had a place. It was detailed.
Yeah.
Right? There was design everywhere. Like, to be honest with you, I was more hype about the store than the clothing at that point, because when you walk in, it was so impactful, right? You had all these different design elements on every single wall, and everything was stationed at a certain place. The sewing machines, everything was just laced out, man. It was amazing to see you put that together.
Yeah, man. And shout out to my brother-in-law, Corey, for
shout out to Corey,
helping me in
you know what I mean, assistant project manager.
Yeah. And also, my
father-in-law, and
because they brought me into that whole construction world,
right?
And within a year we started our own construction company. So all of that kind of came back to me, and I built out the store and opened the store, and we had a little grand opening. Probably a couple people showed up, you know what I mean, because I didn't know nobody in Charlotte anyway, you know what I mean. So I think one newspaper got a whiff of what we were doing. I don't know how they got a whiff. Actually called me and wanted to do a little interview. And we did the interview, we did that, boom. Then a magazine, I guess they saw the article, and they came to me. It was like, yo, we'd love to do an article on what you're doing, because what I built was a custom bespoke jean shop, where clients can come in and they can choose thread, button, zipper, fly, button, fly.
That's different.
You know what I mean? And we did that for denim. So they were able to choose different fabrics, and we can manipulate the fabrics for them as well. So they, it was total pampering. You know what I mean? And for a premium, you know what I mean? But
of course, that's tailor. That's tailor kind of cost. You know what I mean?
Right there. So and at that point it was a one-man army. It was a one-man army in there. Right. You know what I mean? And once the different publications had me on, and then the TV, I think a Good Morning show had me up there. Man, I mean, people was coming in the store with the different interviews and the newspapers, like, yo, I read about you, man. And, you know, I'm looking at them like, what? You read about me? You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe I was getting the response I was getting in Charlotte, man. Big up to Charlotte for definitely catapulting me even further to where I am today. They really received the business well. Right. You know what I mean? And although it was a premium, you had the clients that gravitated to it and people that came in and couldn't afford the services. So, you know, it went hand in hand with, you know, with what I was trying to do as far as giving them the quality product, you know. Right.
So the store started to grow and it was too much workload for you.
It's too much workload.
And at this point, are you thinking, I'm going to need some help, I'm going to hire some employees? And how did that go?
So we started getting some kids in from the school. Okay. From AI down in Arts Institute in Charlotte. And first student of mine, her name was Kenji, and Sess. They two came from the school.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them, man. They was a part of the dream.
They was. They definitely taught me even how to teach, in a sense. You know, I was rough. I'm from the military. I'm from a Caribbean father. And they could tell you that I was no joke. And because, you know, I didn't believe in wasting nobody's time. You know, we came here to learn. We came here to do something. Let's do it. So, it just kept coming in. I had a guy came in there. He was like, yo, man, you know, I'd love to learn. And I'm like, yo, you got a sewing machine at home? Nah. I said, how could you love this industry and you don't even have a sewing machine, right? So I kicked him out the store. So next thing you know, I get a message from one of my little, my friends, one of my daughter's friends. And she's like, you know, he came to me and he said like, you know, how's he going to ever get into the industry if nobody don't give him a chance? Right. And I remember saying the same thing. You know what I mean? So I called him back. I was like, you know, I said, yeah, come on in, man. You know, and after that, I never turned nobody away. Right. You know, because I didn't have the help back then. And I had all the machines right there in the store to make a full product with not sending anything out to be done. Right. You know what I mean? So they came in and learned every aspect of clothing construction. You know what I'm saying? Marketing, you know, all of it. You know, I had people calling me for interviews. Right. Actually, we had BuzzFeed call the store, and one of the kids answered the phone and was like, hey, Stan, you know, BuzzFeed wants to do a video with you. I'm like, Buzz, what is that? They're like, are you crazy? So they came in, did the joint, and you know, I was getting a lot of calls from different companies. So what we did was kind of set up like a package where if you had more than 13 people, I would come out there, measure them out, and, you know, and make the jeans and come back and deliver them. Right. And each pair that, you know, custom fitted jean was going for $400 down there in Charlotte. So do the math, it was good, you know, because it took me honestly about 2.5 hours from cutting and sewing to actually, you know, construct the jean. Right. So, and I was going, I didn't stop. I mean, I have all the measurements. I get on that table, you know, carve out the pattern, boom, cut, run it through. And I have all the instructions on what they wanted, the color, thread, all of that, you know. So then I get a call one day, and this is after BuzzFeed, I get a call, and this guy with an accent. I'm like, you know, he's like, hey, you know, I saw your video on BuzzFeed, you know, I was interested in having you come out. And I'm like, come out where? You know, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Switzerland. Okay. And I was like, oh, wow, you know. And he's like, if you can find your way out here, I can house you. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, and wrap it up. I'm coming. Right. So I go out there, and it was like maybe 15 people, plus the guy, he wanted more himself. So I did that fit, constructed the jeans, brought them back. And, you know, in my field, which was the raw denim field, you still had to explain to the clients that this is a fabric that you will have to break in. Right. You know what I mean?
Because it's a little bit more stiff.
Right. So it's a lot more raw and stiff. And, you know, starch, a lot of starch. So I'm like, you know, when you wear these jeans, you know, normally when I construct them, you want them to fit just a little tighter than you need them to be, because as you wear them, they will stretch out.
Right.
So it was kind of actually trying to enlighten them about that as well. So in the store, in anything, me walking and doing these pop-ups and stuff like that, it was an experience, and it was also a lesson.
Right.
You know, that I had to be able to teach people about this process. You know what I mean? Teach them about the fabrics and stuff like that. So I had to know myself.
Right.
So, you know, I would read up on fabrics and different brands and why they use this denim and that denim and so on and so forth in order to be able to regurgitate that to my clients. And they would always come out of the store saying, man, I didn't know it was that much, you know, involved in making a pair of jeans. Right. So I felt that I was filling that void in teaching as well. Okay. And the store, the ambiance gave them the experience. Right. You know what I'm saying? So putting all that together, man, and still feeling like, you know, I felt a lot better because, I mean, and also another TV show called Handcrafted America, they called me out. They was like, hey, we'd like you to be on the show. Right? So where can you, and it was like, can you produce a product and start and finish it within? I said, yeah, you know, because their biggest thing was they never had anyone to be able to finish anything. Right. So I came in there and did that project. It went great. People were calling, you know, the store after that as well. So, you know, I had a lot of notoriety, man, and you know, it was great, man.
So you got out the Navy, stationed. You lived at VA.
Got married.
You know, got married. Fast forward, you got the bug again, got the energy again. You ended up in Charlotte. You actually now, with the advice of your wife now, right, and the support, the partnership, was able to open up your own store.
Right.
Ran the successful store, right? Had a couple of employees, built it out, making money. Okay, so now, what was the next level for you?
I mean, I was always searching to be a true designer. Okay. And for me, I chose denim because it was like a blank canvas.
Okay.
Because when I used to be in the fabric store, you see stripes and dots and all types of things on fabrics that I believe that if you took that and you made something with it, you know, you didn't originate that design because it was already printed.
Okay, right.
So I had it was like a emptiness in me that I was like, I always said that you're not a real designer if you're not designing the fabric.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Especially, okay, if it's a blank fabric, then that's fine.
Right.
But if it has any type of
pattern and stuff like that, it's already giving you direction.
Right.
You didn't want any direction.
Nah, I mean, I wanted to
just a canvas.
Right. I wanted to honestly be what I thought was a true designer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, I was always searching. Right. I'm always searching to try to figure out, well, how do I make my own fabric? You know, what does that consist of? And then, you know, of course we had computers, but I'm just like, look, let me just get here and sew these damn jeans because I need to make this money. Right. And, you know, once hitting my ceiling there in Charlotte, you know, I started thinking even harder, like, how do I actually get to the top? And, you know, I was looking through Instagram and I saw in Indonesia, there was a guy that was actually weaving fabric.
Okay.
Right? So in the denim industry, you have what's known as the Japanese culture, which kind of took our Levi's idea and perfected it, right? And so when you think about denim, the first thing you think about is either America or Japan. Right. So for me, it was always, yo, you got to go to Japan and really tap into the denim culture. And I'm like, okay, that's the norm. Right. And since I was always the underdog, I wanted to sleep with the underdogs. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I saw the gentleman, he's from Indonesia, and sent him a message, right? And so through the BuzzFeed video, we had a guy in Singapore that also contacted me, wanted to sell my product in Singapore. So flew out to Singapore, had a meeting with him. And because I was in Singapore, I reached out to Asfa Fardi, who was in Indonesia, I was like, hey man, can I come through there and see some fabrics? And you know, he's like, yeah. So I just hopped on a quick flight, went to Indonesia, and was wowed, man.
Wow. So what did you see in Indonesia that wowed you?
Man, I mean, I saw the beginning. I saw yarn, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, this is how we weave. This is what your denim is made out of.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at these white strings, and I'm like, this? I got on these blue jeans. What are you talking about, right? Like, I'm like really totally dumbfounded to this whole process. And he walks me through the process. And I'm like, every step, I'm like a little kid at the candy store, right? Face against the glass. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is how you do this?
Right.
You know, I'm looking for machinery. I'm looking for robots and all kinds of stuff. But it's like actual people, you know, you're like dedicated people that's happy sitting there. And that's no sweatshop. These people are happy, and they, you know, they love what they do.
Right.
And I mean, I saw the process from the yarn to the finished process of, you know, to the finished denim. And that blew me away, because then it's when I saw control.
Okay. Right.
That's when I saw total control of the ounce, of the hue, the feel, the smell, like every aspect of that that process was control.
Yeah, before you go into a fabric store to pick your pattern,
You know what I'm saying? I can control the pattern, right? So, you know, I made a good relationship with him, and I started consulting as well. People wanted brands done, and I consulted. And the store had its ups and downs financially, because I didn't have, at that point, I really didn't have the financial resources to beef up the marketing. Right. Because if you got one store, the next thing for you to do is open another.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
but the marketing has to
call for that next phase, and then you got to have that second body that can actually help you run. I mean, you know, my wife was there, but she wasn't really knowledgeable in the actual construction aspect of the company, right? So it took its ups and downs, and at some point, even going back and forth to Indonesia, you know, that enlightened me and broadened my spectrum of the process.
So all this time, you've already built these relationships.
Yes.
And you're nourishing them.
Yes.
Right. Going back and forth
to Indonesia.
Back and forth, right?
Right.
Because now you was actually looking to be a real designer,
right?
And you was able to find that in Indonesia, and that kind of just opened you up to a new beginning, per se.
It was like, you know, I'm not a heroin addict, but it was like heroin to an addict, man. Right. It's like you had to have it. And I had to go to Indonesia.
Right.
I was being pulled there, man. I was treated well. I mean, I was always treated like a king, like. People wanted to take pictures with me, and you know, they wanted to talk to me and stuff like that. And I was like, look, I'm a black dude. I'm not used to this type of treatment.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? So coming back to America and facing a lot of financial situations here with the shop, kind of almost forced me to close the shop. But before then, one of friends of mine, he used to do a lot of photo shoots for us. He was out at the 444 tour, and he was wearing some of my product. And Vic Mensa and Malik Yusuf, shout out to the both of them. They saw my product, man, and they saw.
Shout out to them.
And he was like, you know, where you get that from? And he was like, yo, this is a black dude he's got his own store.
Right.
So Vic Mensa and Malik Yusuf was supposed to slide to the store, but Vic Mensa had to fly out to do the next. He had to fly out immediately and couldn't make it to the store. But Malik Yusuf came through. He saw the store. He was wild. He ordered some pieces, and he was like, but I know you ain't gonna be able to get this to me before I leave. I said, when do you leave? He was like, tomorrow. I said, say less.
Right.
It's done. Right. So I put them together, and you know. He actually sent out for me to come to the show, and it was in Long Island. And he was like, you know, I send for you, come to the show, man, and we sit, you know, we chop it up. So I went out there, chopped it up with him and Vic Mensa. I really didn't know what they was wanting to do, but next thing you know, they wanted me to actually curate a brand for Vic Mensa.
Right.
Right. So, you know, one thing happened, next thing happened, and we kind of lost contact for a little bit. I got back focused in the store and trying to save the store. And I reached out to him and was like, you know, hey, man, you know, what was good with the conversation we had? He was like, hey, man, we sent you an email like weeks ago or months ago. And I'm like, I ain't get it. He was like, who you send it to? He sent it to the wrong address. So they resent it. And they was like, yo, we want you to come out to Cali and let's meet. Let's talk about some things. So they flew me out to Cali, put me up, and we talked. Everything sounded good, and you know, I was like, you know, I got to talk to the wife about it.
Wow. So here's the thing, man. Designing is taking you all over the world now.
Yeah, man.
Right. It's creating this journey for you.
Yeah.
Right. That you have all these testimonies for, all these experiences for, and it's building and fueling your dream at the same time.
Yeah, and it's like breadcrumbs.
Right.
Right, because you don't know where that next crumb gonna take you.
Right.
But you know there's another crumb.
Right, exactly. Because it keeps showing up over and over and over again.
Right. And if it's something you want to do, you have to learn how to see these things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest parts. People don't see. They don't see the message.
Crumbs,
they don't see the crumb.
Right.
And I saw them crumbs. I was hungry, right? And I went out there for the first meeting, and they was like, you know, maybe you can, you know, you can either have a shop here in LA or in Vegas, which would, you know, we would really advise for Vegas. So I was like, you know what? All right. So they flew me out to Vegas, and we looked at a couple spots and stuff like that, you know, and I pulled the trigger and shut the store down in Charlotte and moved all my equipment to Vegas.
Wow.
You know, and I did have one soldier with me that I think without her, I mean, I don't know. I think it was going to happen anyway, but I think Marielle Laurie was my little soldier.
Yeah, shout out to Marielle.
Yeah, shout out to Marielle. She was my soldier, and she kind of, I think, was what enabled me to believe that I can do it. Right,
yeah, because that's a whole nother pickup and kind of start from scratch again, you know, and just building another brand. Right. And yeah, that's a process, right? And it surely helps to have someone along with you through that process.
That would listen to you talk about denim all day. And still had the interest. Right. You know, because I used to beat my wife up about it, and at some point she got tired. You know what I mean? I used to tell her, yo, she used to be like, what you want for Christmas?
I do not want to have no more denim dreams.
Right. She'll ask me, what do you want for Christmas? And I'll be like, if you can give me this roll of fabric, I'll be good to go. And sometimes she did it, and at one point she was like, I'm not buying you no denim. You know
That's not a gift.
That's not a gift. That's work.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, poor Robin, man. She stuck around for a real long time and went through what it was to be with an artist and not even understand that an artisan is delicate.
Yeah, artist is crazy. Yeah. Artist is cray. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even know what I was myself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we did pretty decent out there in LA, and that project came to an end.
So all this while now, you were still connecting with Indonesia, right? You were still building and fostering those relationships over there.
Right, creating new brands with new in-house brands and creating brands for that project. And so I still had my personal brands, Verbatim, which was my Anarke Jeans company, kind of streetwear, high-end streetwear look. Okay. Right. So at that point, you know, my wife used to work at the airport, so I was flying all over doing photo shoots, flying to Italy for 2 days, Paris, because I had friends out in Paris. Shout out to Demoon Paris. We did a collaboration together, and you know, we gonna release it soon. But you know,
nice.
I got, you know, friends out there and stuff like that, so I was always out doing photo shoots and stuff like that. And once that project ended, you know, I was cultivating Indonesia. My partner was like, he was out there, and he was like, yo, man, I want you to help, you know, create a brand. Because all he did was weave fabric. Right. He didn't know
about the other aspect, but you knew about it.
But I knew about it, right? So here I am, you know, because that whole third world life, you know, my family being from Guyana, and every summer I was there as a child, I understood it.
Right.
Not that I was used to it, but I understood why the outhouse was in the back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Not that that's how it is in Indonesia now, but it's not built up like,
yeah,
you know,
it's not like the U.S.
especially in my town. You know, so at this point, I'm like, all right, how I can help you start the brand is we're going to do a Kickstarter. So we did the Kickstarter. It ended successfully. And, you know, at that point, I was exiting out of my... So my marriage had ran this course. It's taken a lot of beating from the ups and downs. And when I was coming back from Vegas, it's pretty much when that ended. So I think at that point I was just like, that was a blow, because that was the other half that believed in me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no matter what, she was right there.
Right.
You know, although it wasn't all peaches and cream every day, but you know what I'm saying? In this battle, you always need somebody.
That partnership.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And when that left, I felt, I don't know. I don't know if it was scared, but it was a new feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? But one door opened, one door closed, the other opened, and it was my partner in Indonesia saying to me,
"Oh, I was about to say, you got a new girl? You got a new wife?
Nah.
Shit. Whoa, like what happened?
Man,
Okay.
I was at that point. I was at monogamy at its best.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody in the house knew my code for the phone. I'm asking people to answer the phone, text people back. You know, like I had nothing to hide, because I was too focused on, you know, like that legacy and trying to do stuff for the family.
Right.
But you know, at that point, when a woman's fed up, right? You already knew the rest of that.
Ain't nothing you could do.
Right. Nothing. So that relationship ended, and I remember my partner in Indonesia saying, "Yo, man, you know, we're your family."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're your family. And the ending of the marriage crushed me. And then that new relationship kind of lift me up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So the Kickstarter enabled me to go down there, get a crib, get the actual factory, you know, and get things in place.
So you back working again. You back now you're starting over again, pretty much, right? In this time, not in another state, but in another country.
Yeah, in another country.
Right? But this is exciting for you, right? At the same time, you're still trying to navigate how you're going to move forward without your partner, right? That you had.
Yeah.
And, you know, with all of that mixed together, it's like, I mean, how hard was that for you?
It was brutal. It was brutal because I remember every time I take a flight, because at that point it was like I would take 4 planes and a train.
Right.
And coming from America, the route that I had to take, because I was flying with American Airlines, the route I had to take, it took me a longer route to get there. And every time I would take off and land, I'd hit the wife and be like, "Yo, I'm leaving." And, you know, she'd be like, you know, "Be safe, you know, I love you, blah, blah, blah," you know. And I felt, even though I was by myself traveling, I felt that she was with me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So even in now traveling, I'm by myself. You know, I spent a lot of time by myself, more than I ever did before. And you talking almost a 20-year relationship.
Right.
So, you know, it caught me out there, and yeah, it crippled me. You know what I'm saying? But I had to keep punching through, which was one of the roughest things to do. And I had to verbalize my feelings, because if I held it in, I would have completely blew up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So verbalizing through it, everybody who knew me, they knew of the situation, because I'm letting people know that my head ain't right now, and you might get snapped at, but you know.
So how did you build up the strength? Because a lot of us, sometimes we go through these crippling, life-changing situation and circumstances in our life, right? But we still have this passion, we still have our dreams, we still have things that we want to do, right? What kind of conversations are you having with yourself to push you through that? Because that's painful. Like, that's one of the most painfulest thing that you can ever experience in life. You know what I'm saying? And for some of us, we're not able to push through that pain, right? And to still stay focused, per se, right? To still move forward, to still have some type of faith that, you know, what I'm trying to do, I have to do, right?
I think about my kids, man. I think about the kids. I think about some of the stuff that I haven't been able to do for them. And I think about the grandkids coming up, you know, and that word legacy, right?
Right.
And then the breadcrumb. Now I'm at the top of my chain. Like I am at the beginning of every item ever made.
Right.
And constructed.
Right.
So now I have that, you know, I have that breadcrumb. Then I have my kids and all of that to, you know, to worry about. And I'm just like, yo, you have to keep doing this. You've lost a lot.
Right. Sacrificed a lot.
You know what I'm saying? I've sacrificed a lot, and a lot of time, a lot, you know, a lot of fun, stuff like that. And it's like, you just got to keep doing it. But the biggest breadcrumb there was you will be able to control your own product, your own, you know, whatever you're designing, you control that from the first step. You know what I mean? And the story behind it, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about that control, because even though your control comes in the form of you being able to design from just a blank canvas, right? I want people to understand that, like, you know, in life, like, you really, really, really have to, like, just go. Right? You have to go. You know, you're going to have all these different things that come in your way. You're going to have a lot of these different things that so-called stops you and cripples you.
Which is yourself,
really. Right. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's only you standing there.
That's it.
Right? And, you know, we all have circumstances. We all have issues. We all have problems. We all have all these different things that just are thrown at us because it's just life.
That's life.
Right? But the ones that's able to push through that, you know what I'm saying, ultimately becomes successful, ultimately becomes happy, you know, ultimately get to a place where it's not even about the money. Right? No. It's about a process. Right? You have to learn to enjoy the process, because I mean, the process is painful, right? And if you don't adapt to that pain, then you miss the gem of the process. You know what I mean? So what would Stan Fraser, because you've done a lot of things. You've worked with numerous of artists. You've worked with professional athletes. You've had about 10 different brands, right? You've traveled all over the world. You've been in the Navy. You've sucked up this industry. Now you're actually, like, it's almost like you've propelled yourself to the top of being a designer, and that wasn't enough for you, right? You had your store, you had your clothing in other stores, right? And you was able to build it from what we call the typical ground zero up. But now it seems that once you have reached that ceiling, it's like, I have to, like, go into the matrix. And the matrix for you was to not go into a fabric store and buy fabrics that's already made. You needed to go deeper, foundation, and figure out how fabrics are made. What's the process like? Because that's the only thing I'm missing, because you can sew every single thing. You know what I'm saying? You picked up the expertise sewing from your mom. You picked up the speed from Desmond, right? And through the process, through your journeys, through everything that you've encountered, right? It brought you to this point where you're like, okay, I have to go into the matrix, and I have to. So what do you want Stan, or what will Stan legacy be?
Perseverance, man. Perseverance. You know, don't stop. You know, believe in yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just keep working. You know, I mean the carrot to a donkey, right? Sometimes people put dollars in front of them, you know, to use as breadcrumbs, or so to say.
Right.
I never did that. Mm-hmm. It honestly, you know, I needed to pay bills, but it wasn't about the money.
Right.
It was just about being able to do it.
Right.
That was it. It was like, if I can't do this, I'm not living.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, it's that old don't stop, get it, don't stop. Like that's pretty much. I mean, it sounds simple, but I mean, it really is in a sense that if you stop, you know, you know what I used to say? I used to say, man, I feel like I'm a man in the middle of the ocean, and if I stop treading water, I'm gonna die.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I equated that to, you know, me stopping in this industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was like, keep going. I didn't care. You know, doing that, you can say hobby.
Right.
Right? Something I love to do, something that was like medicine to me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why I always did it. I always did it.
Right.
It wasn't something that I had to practice, or I just always did it. And I figure, I remember a long time ago, you even told me I was frustrated because the technology wasn't up. It wasn't there. And you was like, yo, man, you know, that's what kind of differs you from the other designers, is that you have to figure it out. And that's what makes your brand unique. You have to figure out how to get this type of technology. And I didn't have 2 stones to make a fire. Right. You know, and I used to remember that. I used to be like, well, that's a plus, not having the big budget. Right. Because once you had that big budget, your clothes going to look like the same thing that's out there.
Because you have too much...
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That you can't really go through the process for you, because your process is totally different. Because your process is a custom process, tailored process. Right. Technology can't compete with that. It's two different lanes.
No, that's straight up old school chalk and measurements. That's all that is. But I really, you know, I mean, simple message is don't stop in what you believe in. Don't stop in doing what you love. I mean, I don't know what that is to each individual. Right. You know, if it's working for somebody, that's fine. But whatever it is in life, don't stop and go through hell and high water, because that's what it takes to get.
That's what it takes
to get through it. And I mean, I'm not nowhere near as, you know, past it yet.
So how would you say your mental toughness is when it comes down?
I mean,
to being able to, you know.
I mean, I'm 49, right? And one thing I've learned is to be honest with myself. Mm-hmm. And when I can't take the blows, take a knee. Right. You know what I mean? Don't act like it don't bother me. Express the pain.
Not me. I ain't taking a knee unless I'm with Kaepernick. I mean, other than that, you know what I'm saying? Kaepernick and Jesus. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, man.
I mean, sometimes the blows get so hard, man. And if you know, sometimes I got to take a knee to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get around this wall? Yeah. You know what I mean? I had to stop, sit down and think, like, you know, what do I need to do to get around this wall, man?
Yeah, every one of us need moments of clarity. Sometimes we need to step away. Right? Give God, you know, the universe, whatever you believe in, give him time to work things out. Right. And he don't really need time. He already have his work out for you. Right. You just need the time and the silence and the clarity to be able to see what he's already got figured out for you, or what your next move is going to be.
And that's that. And that's that boxer taking that knee once he got rocked.
Recoup. Right.
And
feel the pain.
And my knees are pretty broke up.
You had to switch knees.
There was a lot of knee taking, man. But you know, as far as my mental strength and stuff like that, I can't even tell you what that's like, because I don't look at myself. I don't look at myself, man. It's like I don't grade myself, because I'm too busy.
So what conversations are you having with yourself, right? That enables you to just keep going.
It's like at this point, I got those 2 felonies sitting right there on the right shoulder, right? And it's like, even though today I know I can go out there and get a job because I can sell people, you know what I mean?
Right.
I always kept those things right next to me and say, yo, you are a double felon.
Yeah, you're just using that as fuel.
As fuel,
right?
man.
So whatever
That's
it is that that you can use.
I mean, that stuck with me, right? And you know, it was a big letdown to myself. So for me, it was like, yo, you got to do something to you know, rectify that.
Right.
And you got to prove to these people around you that, you know, you will persevere.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mom's is one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? My mom's is like, you know, she saw me take her talents to different levels, to where one time when she came in the house, she saw herself on TV because she was on the show.
Yeah.
Right? So
super proud of you.
Right. So, you know, for me, that it was like, yo, you got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep going. And this is all I know.
Right.
And I you know, and I always think about these multimillionaires, and not all of them, but they dabble in things that they know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I used to sit back, and I remember when I was driving the truck, you know, I went into one of these accounts, and I saw the guy sitting at the head of the table, and he was going through the notes, and I was in there getting you know, service in the building, and I'm listening to this guy, and it's like, dang, this guy knows this, whatever he's talking about, the ins and outs, right?
Right.
And I sat back and I looked at myself in the mirror. That's the first time I was like, yo, what the hell do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know clothes. And I'm like, yeah, what else do you know? You know, it's always that thing that you are good for. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it's enough, right? Because we're looking at monetarily gains, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I stopped looking at money. Money was not a driving factor.
Right.
It was trying to figure out and house the knowledge of, you know, what I knew how to do.
Yeah.
Right? And to turn that into money. Right? So, you know, it was so many different things that kind of kept me going through life. You know what I mean? The divorce kind of crippled me, but then my partner held it. All I saw was a hand.
Right.
Right. And I needed that hand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because I want the listeners to find themselves in your story.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, we covered a lot, you know what I'm saying? And it's important that your struggles, right? They can have their own struggles. It don't have to be the same. Right. But struggle is a struggle, right? And you know, be able to look through your stories and see how you've handled them or how they've handled you. Right. Let's don't forget about that part, right? Definitely. And, you know, the thought process. Right. Because you're still successful. You're still building a big brand, right? But there are these areas of vulnerabilities. Right. There are these areas where you have to take knees. These are these areas where you have to start over, where you might lose a partner. You know what I'm saying? Where you might not be able to take care of your kids or your responsibilities as you see fit. And you have all of these different things, because all of us, you know, is not all popping all the time, right. You know, being the super duper mom or dad that we can provide all the time, every time,
there's no
right?
Book. Plus, there's no book.
So it's important that we go into these details, man, because, like, you know, when you watch other podcasts, and no shade, or you watch other successful people in general, they really don't talk about this stuff in detail. Right, yeah, they would cover it, they would go over it, and it would just be a thing. No, but the way that we've been able to dig in to your story and your journey, right? It connects. I feel that it connects you with the listeners because there's emotions behind it, right? And I think that's very important, man. I mean, that's what this podcast is about, man. That's what we do here, man. Every guest that come on this show, man, you're going to hear their intricate detail and journey about what it takes to really, really be successful, so that you can know that if you have these same emotions and these same feelings or these same taking a knee or circumstances in life that happens to you, that you can still push forward and be successful and still follow your dream. You know what I'm saying? So what's next for Stan Fraser?
Well, you know, I have the company Craftsman Union in Indonesia, and at this point, I have 3 brands that I in-house brands that I'm actually curating, designing, and producing. I'm also consulting as well.
Right.
I'm consulting different brands, starter brands as well, establishing brands, and you know, helping people to get to that next level.
Right.
You know,
right.
because I understood that you can't sit at the sewing machine and sell product at the same time.
Right.
Right. So what I try to help new designers, and I tell them, look, man, you know, I can help you get to that next level.
Right.
Manufacturing overseas, you know, the MOQs, the amount of pieces that you have to do are enormous.
Right.
But when you're doing manufacturing in America, the price points are higher.
Right.
So you know, for the young designers that's coming up, man, you know, we try to work with them with very low MOQs.
Right.
Sometimes we'll do samples for them, and maybe 10 pieces, a dozen at the, you know, our minimums are, and you know, I pretty much control those. So that's letting them have a voice, because now they've just produced without putting all that time in, so they can focus on marketing.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm giving back. That's kind of where I'm at right now with Craftsman Union.
Yeah, that's what be happening with
Let's
all
give
you
it back.
rich dudes and all you dudes that got a little bit of paper. You know what I'm saying? I said I was telling my last guest the same thing, man. When you know, when you're really, really successful and you've accomplished, and this is a great thing. Right. It moves you into a space of giving back. You like there's nothing else to do,
man. It's like
right?
I ran around. I sat at this one meeting with this young designer, and I'm talking to him. This is day 2. I'm talking to him, right? And this guy, I mean, I mean, the work was still, he needed a lot of help, right? But he's selling this stuff, and I'm like, well, that's great, but now we need to work on your quality, right? Yeah. So I'm talking to him, and he turns around, he says, yeah, man, you know, when I'm on the phone consulting people, you know, and I'm like, consulting, and he's charging these people. Here I am giving him free consultation. Right? So, you know, but it didn't rub me no way. I know that, you know, the knowledge that I have, it was something that was very useful for him.
Right,
so
exactly.
Value.
You know what I mean?
Right, mad value. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at now, you know, giving back and trying to help these different brands and these designers to take their next step, and also producing my own brand as well, my own brands as well.
Right.
And actually, you know, I have new relationships overseas, Paris, Italy, you know what I mean, Indonesia, Singapore.
That's big. Right. Listen, man, you calling countries I can't even pronounce, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't even pronounce them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's been great, man. It's been great. The journey's been great. It's been crazy. I never knew that. Honestly, I didn't know that I was going to end up living in another country.
Right.
And that's definitely it's been fun as well. Learning the culture, learning the language. I'm still in that process, but I'm there, man. I'm there, and I'm learning.
Yeah,
and,
man. It's
pushing through.
It's a great thing, man. It's a great thing, man. Brother, man, I want to thank you for coming on the cast, man. You've sowed a lot of value into people's lives, man. Your story, man. Your process, man. Everything that that entrepreneurs and business owners need to hear about what this process is like. They've heard it through your story, man. You know what I'm saying? You've been able to add a lot of value and a lot of context to a lot of things that us go through as individuals,
right,
and as business and entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? And again, man, I want to thank you. I want to wish you all the success in the world. I know you've been doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, man, if you've been doing your thing, you've been gonna be doing your thing. That don't even make sense, but I just like the way it sound, right?
Yeah, man. You know, thank you for having me up here too, man. You know, to giving me that the voice, because I do believe in seeding and giving back,
right.
And not just because I want gain. It's just because I remember not having that person, that mentor to tell me, yo, you're doing that wrong, or get back in here. You know,
right,
everybody that came through my store, they have this one same thing to say about me. Stan was no joke, and he was serious about, serious about his work. So, you know, I'm glad to be able to tell the story, and you know, soon I'll be vlogging my whole experience there in Indonesia, the processes and stuff like that. So that's getting ready to air soon. So you know. So
where could people find you, man? Where could people follow your work?
Well, right now I got on different Instagrams, which one of them is Stan_Fraser, and we have Verbatum 1, which is one of the brands. Fraser and 4D, that's another brand. But Stan Fraser, there'll be a stanfraser.com for a lot of the products that we'll be selling, and also the YouTube page, Stan Fraser.
Nice. Well, man, another epic. You know what I'm saying? Another epic episode, man. Thanks again for Stan Fraser coming through. Designer extraordinaire, man. See y'all next time. You already know what it is.
Hey, for your dead friends. Hey, look, I got dead presidents. Hey, look. For your dead friends, hey, look, I got dead presidents, hey.
Till next time, change your mindset, change your reality. Brooklyn finest entrepreneurs.
Blue honey, change, blue honey.